Gloves, and today we are going to be talking about harmony, the last of the 5 elements that make up songs and beats. So harmony is simply the way you reveal the key to the listener. If I want to make something sound sad, I may be a little bit hesitant to reveal the key to you right away. If I want to make it sound like a pop ballad, I might tell you what the key is right away. I'll be like, oh, here's the key. Like whatever it is. Maybe I'll do it like this. Now, if I want to be like sad, I'm going to reveal the harmony to you in a different way. That's a terrible example. Let's do this. If I want to be scary, I might choose to reveal the harmony a different way. Maybe I'm going to do a chord, usually a minor chord, but then I'm going to pick some chord that you normally would not hear after. Like, oh, that's an unsettling chord progression. And then how you pick your sounds to convey the emotion that we talked about will greatly enhance this. So here's an example of this. So I'm staying away from the chord progression. So harmony, if you're going to get into the music theory side, is how the notes interact with each other. But it's basically you're going to be revealing the key. What is the most important note is what the listener's trying to figure out, sort of, when they're listening to the set of notes that you're using. So here I pick sounds that are sort of dissonant. They have tension within themselves. It's like, ooh. And so here's what that would sound like. And I'm going to turn off this bottom part. And if we move on down the line, this is the chord I moved to. So I picked a sound that conveys the emotion, and then when combined with harmony and the appropriate rhythm, and in some cases melody, you get what you want. You start getting really useful, cool things out of it. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I want. And so that's pretty much my spiel on harmony on a basic level. We could get more and more into it, but that's really it. So over here, I pick another sound that complements this sound nicely, and I use a similar principle. So I pick a way, I move around in this minor chord in a way that I think is cool, and I'm outlining my key, and I'm moving around in D minor an awful lot. And so a lot of people would just say it's the chords you pick, but it's not the chords you pick, it's the way you choose to reveal your key. See, that's like, ooh, that's like messed up. But if you were to do it like with a pop ballad or something and just simply change the harmony, let's say we change our key, we're going to now convey an entirely different message. So let's say, like, oh, let's make it sound major. This is going to be interesting. So we take these and make them F sharp, and we've revealed our key, right? We reveal our key right away, and our sound won't necessarily convey the same feeling, but it'll be interesting. It's like, what the heck? This thing just sort of sounds kind of happy now. So minor sounds tend to sound sad. Major sounds tend to sound happy, but that's by no means the rule. You can have things sound sad that are major, although it is quite difficult to accomplish. So that is, that's harmony for you. How are you going to reveal the key to the listener on a large scale? Now we could go down into it and say, what are the chords we're going to pick? What are the relationships between these chords? How are they going to function together? Are we going to reveal this chord and this voice at this time? Because now I've got to pick, I can enhance my harmony by using voicing and saying, what note am I going to give to what voice? And so I'm going to say, I'm going to give the root note to the piano, which is not in here. Let's go over here. See, I'm going to give the root note over here. My harmonic choice shifts, and I'm giving the root note now to these things that have rather low frequencies. And so they take on the main, and they're also the loudest. So they take on the main focus. And the reason why, oh, my screen just froze. The reason why a harmony is more than just chords is because it's the whole key. So you see here, I'm using not necessarily chords, I'm using the scale, I'm using the key, the set of notes. And obviously the most important note in this case is D. I'm playing around with D an awful lot, moving around that note. I made this with the idea of sort of chromatic movements around the D So I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to move and just sort of mess around over there. And that's going to sound scary because of the things I chose. Now I have some of these sort of atonal sounds. If we come over here to this and mute, which one of these is the piano? That one or this one? It was that one. So we're going to do this one. So you might be going, where does that fall in harmony? And the answer is it falls in harmony in that I'm trying to sound ambiguous about what I am doing. And so this is perfect for what I want to do. That's why these sorts of sounds work so well. You're like, oh, there's some sort of frequencies, notes in there, but like I can't tell what they are. And so I'm using harmony in that way. So it's just the way you reveal the key. So now that you have a general understanding of the 5 major elements, you can now create road plans that are really accurate. So your first thing is your structure. What is the structure I'm going to make? You might consider, you can start with any of them really. So let's start with the sounds first, because usually people have an idea of emotion. So they say, what is the emotion I want to convey? How do I want to get this emotion across? The next one is, what key am I going to work in? What set of notes am I going to be using? What kind of harmony am I going to be working for? At this point, I would encourage you to look at your structure. Say, okay, I'm going to write out my structure. I'm going to write out how I'm going to use melody, if I'm going to use melody. And then the rhythm. What is my bass rhythm? Am I going to have motifs and themes? And you can create this game plan using these 5 elements. And you can say, I'm going to use flutes here. I'm going to synthesize something here. I'm going to create a side trance pad here. And the reason you're going to do that is a psychedelic trance pad. The reason you do that is because now you could be way more proficient. You can go towards your goal and you're not messing around with things that you don't need to. If you're going to do it this way, this also allows you to be deliberate about learning things. So you could say, all right, I'm going to use this time to compose and I'm going to follow this game plan. It's going to be useful time spent. And then over here, I'm going to study theory. I'm going to study these ideas on theory. And then I'm going to study sound design and these ideas on sound design. Because I noticed in my beat, of the 5 major elements, these ones are not so strong. Let's say maybe melodic composition is not that great. So I'm going to study melodic composition, and then I'm going to come back and do this again. And then I'm going to study harmony, and then I'm going to come back and do this again. So like this is some really useful stuff that you have here. Like you can now sit down and be able to listen to songs and peel them apart in ways that are creatively useful to you. So every time you listen, you can also do a little analysis. Now, this is the challenge. Once you get into the point where you start understanding a lot of this stuff really well, you have to be able to switch from I am just enjoying this music to I'm analyzing this music for my own personal benefits and learning creativity. But anyways, that's that. My challenge to you is to do this. Make a high-level game plan, like something that's just like you got it all down there. Use the harmony, all this jazz, and making a beat now. And then compare it to the first beat that you made from the start of this series and see how it differs. How fast did you do it? Has it changed dramatically? And share your results down below. Something you noticed personally, like, man, I've gotten way faster at this ever since this was pointed out to me, or this, that, or the other thing. Like now that I understand harmony is about revealing a key, I've worried less about chords and more about how I'm going to reveal the notes. It's sort of relieving in some ways to think about things from their bass structure instead of looking at like, oh, I need a dope chord progression to do this thing. It's like, is that even in the cards? Do you even want that in your cards? A lot of times people sit down and they have this thing where they have to do it this way every single time because they got results they liked. Now you can literally generate new approaches to writing music just based off an understanding of these elements. If you have any questions, let me know. In the future videos, we're going to get more into composition and just dive into principles a little more in depth. Subscribe, support me on Patreon, and have a blessed day.